Hello, is that Martin Salter?
Yeah, it is. Who's that?
It's Mark Thomas here from Channel 4. I understand you're in Aldermaston today.
Yes, I am.
Is it possible that we can have a chat with you at all after your visit?
I can't do anything while I'm inside AWE Aldermaston, but I mean, I'm quite happy to talk to you when I've completed my tour.
We've spoke to Robin Bradley, who's Chief Executive of Aldermaston, and he agreed that he'd interview with us.
Mr. Bradley's here now if you want to have a word with him.
Is he? Oh, excellent. Can we put him on?
And he passed the phone over. He passed the phone over, man. And you just say this, I'm not... You deal with it. And one of his, I think, head of corporate affairs, a guy called Graham Hammond, came in on the phone going, we'll sort out the interview later, we'll sort it out.
I've caught him twice pointing that fucking gun at us.
Yeah, I just said that.
Yeah?
And so we were up there, and the police came along. They sent along the traffic cops. And what we've done is we've tied the gate up and padlocked it onto the ground so they can't get in. And so the traffic police come up and say, we're a bit concerned. The cherry picker. A bit concerned that it might distract drivers. And they just went, well, on private property. We'll take it down a bit. We're going to send it back up. We'll take it down. Won't be long. Right then. When the MP came out, we phoned him up and said, we're just round at this place. He came round and we said, can you get in the cherry picker? We'll go and have an interview at the top. He goes, yeah, all right.
We saw you coming out of the little hut just down here.
Yeah, just there.
Which was the, I presume, the suiting up room.
Yeah, it was, yeah. I got into the spaceman's outfit and I went and had a look at their storage place. I mean, it really is quite unbelievable. I mean, it looks like a sort of 1950s shed, but that's where they're storing intermediate nuclear waste, and they're in the process of decommissioning that and installing it somewhere else on the site. There's absolutely no doubt about it that the technology's moved on, and a lot of the stuff that's happening at the moment on the site includes state-of-the-art safety procedures. I think a big problem on this site, and a big problem for the people that I represent and for anyone else living around this area, is the actions of the Ministry of Defence in the 50s and the 60s. There was a regime there, and I had it confirmed to me today, that if they had a problem on the site, they had some radioactive material they didn't know what to do with, dig a hole and bury it. Virtually no concern for public safety. And the problem that the current management regime has got is they don't know where some of this stuff is coming from. Anything could be here and it can pollute the groundwater, and of course the groundwater works its way through and ends up in places like in North Ponds and the Aldermaston Stream and so on and so forth. Some of the material is clearly lying here in a state, in a mobile form, and that's got to be a concern to anybody.
With a huge culture of secrecy.
Yeah, I mean, far worse in the 50s and 60s, but I mean, massive culture of secrecy, and God knows what is down there.
We actually phoned up Aldermaston and said, about the interview, they said, yes, send us the documents and we'll do it tomorrow at 2:30. I'm like, what? Hang on, what's happening here? Your atomic weapons establishment. We've just put a cherry picker up there. We've run at your chief executive, said, can we have an interview? And you've said yes. It's like we didn't realise it was that fucking easy. We should be doing this. We shouldn't have fucked about with Nestle. We should just cover them in spray foam and say, can we talk now? Like, yes. I reckon if we send Tony Blair a turd in a box, we're in with a chance. And they didn't let us talk to Mr. Bradley. They would let us talk to this guy who was their assurance director. And immediately, as soon as I heard the word assurance director, you just go, aye. Because why do we need assuring? Why? What's going on? So we started having a chat and he said, well, we're trying to be more open. But obviously it is quite painful, that process, because you have to get over some embarrassments. You know, we call it the pain barrier. You have to get through the pain barrier. I said, and I am part of that barrier. said yes.
I mean, we analyse all these water flows, and the Environment Agency insists that we do, and you saw them at the meeting the other night. They're pretty tough guys, they keep us on our toes. And we don't find radioactivity, other than the tritium, which you know about, in normal conditions. The time when we did get a movement of plutonium was in that flash flood in the 80s, when we had what people call the 1 in 100 year storm.
So there was a flash flood in the 80s?
Yeah.
And the plutonium went on the move?
Very small amounts of it.
Has there been any contamination of uranium?
No, it's plutonium we're talking about.
So it's only plutonium here,
Yeah.
so there's no uranium?
There is uranium around there. And we do handle uranium. And there is a bit of a uranium contamination that we found since we published that map just in that area there.
Has that moved at all?
There is evidence at very, very low levels that it's moved just off-site. I wouldn't want to tell you who owns the ground. I think you'd have to talk to the landowners to.
Right, so it's on someone. It's not just halfway under the road. It's actually on someone else's land. Right.
We went on to the figures. Right, do you remember the 14 workers contaminated in 5 years? Right, we started talking about that, and the guy said, well, let's have a look at the figures, and we started going through the paperwork. I said, 2 here. He said, yes. 2 here, yes. And these are all unclassified documents and stuff that's been sort of put out in little reports and that. I said, there's 5 here. He said, no, we were wrong. There's only 3, so you've lost 2. So then in this one here, we got the dates muddled up, and we printed 2 separate dates, and in fact, it's only 1 incident, so you're down another 1. So I said, right, we're down to 11 workers being contaminated in 5 years. He said, well, no, there's been another 2 accidents. I said, what's the figure? He said, 14.
It mentions here that the plutonium is wrapped in a foil. And actually on this page here, I think it goes on to 2 levels of two layers of aluminium foil. I think it says domestic foil.
Yeah.
So that'd be like a Bako foil.
Yeah.
Like a kitchen foil. Then it's put into a plastic bag, PVC plastic bag, heat sealed.
Yeah.
Put into another plastic bag.
Yeah.
Taped up with adhesive tape.
Yeah.
Put into a tin.
Yeah.
Plastic lid or?
Be a metal tin.
It'd be a metal tin with a metal lid, and then there's got.
It's like a baked bean can. It's
Yeah.
sealed.
So then you've now got it in a tin.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
And is that how you still store it?
In these facilities, material is still stored in that fashion.
Right. Is it a special foil?
Well, I mean, it's special in that it's high quality, etc. But it is metal foil. I mean,
So it's like Bako foil.
Yeah. Yeah.
My mum would wrap my sandwiches more efficiently with that. Especially if it was piccalilli, which could contaminate the wagon wheel and the apple in the box.
A glove box is a thing about so wide, so tall, so deep.
Right.
And it's a metal box with perspex fronts, and you've got holes in it with gloves in.
Yeah.
So the whole thing is sealed and it's extracted. You can put your hands in the gloves and you can work on material the other side of a perspex screen, and you're protected by the gloves.
Right.
So plutonium contamination will not come out. The air that is extracted goes through a series of filters.
Goes through the filter changes.
Right. Now, in that particular case, we're talking about a facility that was now closed down and awaiting decommissioning. And an operator...
So the glove box was non-operational here?
That's right, still connected up to everything, and we were thinking of decommissioning it. And it came along to disconnect to change that filter. And when he tried to undo the filter, it wouldn't come. And he undid a nut on the other side of the filter. So instead of undoing, if you like, on the clean side of the filter, he actually exposed the contaminated side of the filter. So we then ended up with contamination into the area, okay? And the exclusion zone for the work was of course designed on the basis that he was only going to open the clean side. So people who were in the same plant area but further away
were contaminated because
were suddenly exposed to some radiation.
And he says, well, one of the accidents, we were transferring mercury from one container into another container to make it safer, and some of the plutonium in the mercury